Hey, welcome back to Corbellic Studios. I'm Corbellic. We are here for another live stream show that we're going to be doing right now. You are back for the best art show, the best entertainment, the best philosophy, the best talk show stream that is out on YouTube right now. All right. So you're going to be here with me live. We're going to be checking out and we're going to be doing some live painting today. All right. Today, I think I want to be focusing on a lot of 14 by 11s. I love doing 14 by 11s because it's that middle ground between either too small, too medium, or too large. 12 by 16s is cool as well. 12 by 9s is kind of a hit or miss. I like doing 12 by 9 sometimes as well too if I would just want to get through like numbers. If you want to have numbers and volume into your store, like I always talk about, it's always better to have volume than it is to focus on quality. So if there's times that you want to feed the volume and maybe feed up your other items, you could do the 12 by 9s to be pumping out like some landscapes, to be pumping out different stuff like that. But 14 by 11s for me is cool too, where I could just get through a bunch of different things that like either landscapes, flowers, birds, animals, different stuff like that. It's just a good size where it's a medium size for people, and that way you could just build up some good quality or quantity, quality, whatever. All right, where you could just have it where you can have different size on there for your buyer. So that's what we're going to be focused on right now. I love doing the 14 by 11s, but I also love the 12 by 16s, and then I love going back into the larger ones as well too, where it'll be the 16 by 20s. I'll use the 16 by 20 to leverage against all of them. I'm telling you, you want to play just like when I talk about you want to play around with the themes and the subject matter. You want to change up your sizes as well too, because if you do too many of one size, it's gonna stale out. No matter how cool the art is, no matter what you're painting or the theme, I'm telling you, I've been doing this long enough where they'll get bored if you do the same size over and over and over. You have to change it up into the thing. So, like for example, it was like the first of the year, right? I reorganized 300 items or 300 paintings, right? That I didn't put into the system yet. So I reorganized it. I showed you even a video on here how I reorganized it. And then if you're a part of the elite community, I showed inside there how I relist them inside the computer, just so you can see for yourself how to go through a big bulk or a big bulk of items, and you can go through it fast and you can list it because we list the fastest. All right, we list the fastest on eBay. How I have everything set up for you through a template. I have so many videos of how I do the listings. I could do 50 or 60 listings in less than 30 minutes because I have everything set up, and I have it set up for you as well. But I went in there right with those items, the 300 that I did. And what I did is I put them back into the auction. But when I put them back into the auction, I didn't put for each day like the 14 by 11s all bulked up, because I think I separated by like or I scheduled them to be 20. I did it for 20 listings each day, but I didn't do 20 14 by 11s. Instead, what I did, if you watch the video, you can see where I grabbed 5 of different sizes. So I grabbed 5 papers. I grabbed 5 14 by 11s. I grabbed 5 12 by 12s. I grabbed 5 16 by 20s. And then I did it like that for each day. So that way each day has a variety of size. All right. So that's just something right there. I wanted to give you a quick tip right there. All right. So that was some elite game right there that I just gave. All right. So we're just going to be busting out some 14 by 11s right now and see what we got. All right, let's see who we got in the comment section right now. Let's see what's going on. If you guys are here lively, Jinjin says hi, good morning. Tulio, hey there, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're at. Let's see here, morning, almost noon here, pumped up, ready to go. Let's go. Slug says, yo, what's going on? All right, morning, Zinjin, Blessed Art Studio. We got Jaded Hunter here. Hi, I couldn't sleep, so I thought I would just get up and paint. Perfect timing because I get to have Corbellic in the background. That's what it's all about right there. We got Gladdy here. All right, Blessed Art Studio. Hi, it's about noon here too. All right, so y'all are on the East Coast. All right, so we got people here. Leave a like. First time here, found you interesting. Hey, welcome to the community. Hey, you're gonna love it here. We do some live painting. We talk about life. We talk about philosophy. But today's topic that we're really going to be breaking down and talking about is commission work. how to negotiate commissions, how to go about commissions, especially when dealing with eBay, how to navigate it off site of eBay, and how to get the most money out of it, how to put yourself in the leverage where you have the power position when you're talking to the collector, when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, but also how to fill out the personality. Look, I've been doing this so long where at this point I know who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with. But at the same time, I don't want to discourage anybody out there. When you're first starting off, you have to be hungry. You have to take the opportunities. You got to learn yourself. You got to end up going into the fire. Don't say no. Don't put yourself in that situation. Get the money, get the opportunity, get done with it. All right, but we're going to talk more about that later on in the video. Let's see who else we got here. We got Nikki here, creative morning. All right, we got Leo here. Charge per square inch. No, we don't talk about, no, I don't charge for that. That's academic stuff. All right. But we're gonna break that down and talk about that. All right. So if you haven't already, leave a like in the video. Also, if you can, buy me a cup of coffee. Put a super chat in there. It's at the bottom right with the $sign on there. It lets me know that you appreciate everything that's going on. It lets me know that you appreciate the channel, but it also boosts up the algorithm. All right. So leave some likes in here if you're already here. And yeah, if you could buy me a cup of coffee or leave a super chat on here, that really goes a long way, and I appreciate it. All right, so let's get into this right now. The first painting that we're going to do is going to be an eagle, a bald eagle. I love doing bald eagles because it's the American thing, but also it's just strength. It's also majestic. It's such a powerful bird. And people love bald eagles when it comes to eBay. So this is what we're going to do. Let's just get into it right now. Right now, I'm going to do a background on here, but I'm just going to do a light background. I'm going to do a light background of like a reddish yellow. And the reason that we do this, for anybody who's new here, is that way we can have this is kind of like our gesso that we're working off of. This is kind of like our gesso that we work off of. So that way we don't have a dry, thirsty canvas, and it's easier to paint on when we use our principle. We work off of a projector around here where we add our own colors. We just use the proportions. We do our own thing though. We don't do direct copies. Look, Picasso said that decent artists copy, great artists steal. Or steal, or take, or replace, whichever one. Where do you find the images? Are they copyrighted? See, we don't have to worry about any of that stuff because we use AI. So the images are ours. They're our prompts. These aren't anybody else's images. God created actually God copyrighted the eagle. So God copyrighted the bird. So we can actually paint an eagle. We can actually paint a bird. We could paint a human because God created a dog, a human, a bird. We could do any of these figures. It's just that we use the projector to have the proportions, and then we use whatever color that comes out of us because we're all creators. I always say this isn't an art school. This is where the art is already inside of you. So we're not going to talk about how you need to do this. You need to paint brush like Corbellic. You need to do this. My art teacher said you get a A plus, a B plus. All that stuff is academic stuff. We don't worry about that stuff over here. All right, we're the art renegades. We're about making the money today, not talking about portfolios and stuff for tomorrow. Yeah, so you can also click the link in the description where it'll guide you to the eBay community coaching. And it'll have all the courses and everything broken down for you in there of how to get the art references, how to use AI. You have a community that's in there to help you. Everything is there for you. Mentioning, let me pin the community in the notes here. Boom. All right, so it's in the chat, pinned to the top. Join the best community that's out there. All right, so now what we're going to do, you know how I like to build up my foundation, right? So we're just going to build the foundation up where we're just going to actually go straight into it by doing the darker areas. All right, I'm going to do the darker areas today with like a dark red. This is going to be so awesome. Look at this. You see how we're going straight into this? Look at that. See how we're doing our own colors? We're doing our own thing. We're replacing, just like what Zen was just saying right now. We're replacing. We're not copying, we're replacing. We're getting the inspiration and making it our own. Trust me, if Picasso and a lot of these great artists were still around, they would be doing it the same way. Heck, they were doing it the same way. They were copying. Picasso even agreed that he was copying. What he would do, if you looked at any of his references and a lot of his history, he was copying African art, you know, getting real caveman with it as well. But also, if you look up Leonardo da Vinci, he was using the obscure. But he was actually copying. Like he would actually do it like that's how the greats were doing it in the past. They were actually like doing the exact replicas of copying. That's not even what we're talking about here in the community. We're talking about just getting the inspiration. There's nothing wrong about getting the inspiration from the projector and using it as a confidence tool. Because, you know, if we really wanted to spend hours and hours, I'm pretty sure most of us could do this stuff. But it's just the whole notion of being like, oh, let me take out a pencil eraser and I gotta erase this part. I gotta erase this part. Oh, I gotta go back and I'm doubting myself. You're gonna doubt yourself. We don't doubt ourselves here because we're working off the projector. The projector lets us know that everything's gonna be all right. All right. So look, we have our background right there. I mean, boom. Let me turn our timer on. Okay. And I'm just going to go straight into the color, just to some of the colors. Sometimes I would dry this off, which I might still do. It depends on how muddy it gets, but I'm just going to go straight into it, just going to build on top of the layers. Today I want to go a little bit faster. Yesterday I was kind of disappointed in myself because I'm so used to, you know me, I'm so used to working fast, right? But I'm used to working fast when I'm like alone and I'm in my mode and I'm focused. But then when I'm doing this live stream, it's normal. I need to see, I'm human as well. I need to stop getting down on myself. It's okay, Corbellic. Like you're doing 1,000 things at once. So yesterday I was kind of down on myself because I was like, dang, I didn't even work with speed that much. Come on. So today, every day when I come in here, I try to do a little bit more and better. So I'm feeling good so far about where we're going. I'm feeling good about the direction of the speed. As long as I just as long I think what I'm as long as I don't try to do too much of the heat gun, then it'll be fine. The heat gun at times I'm telling you slows it down. But without the heat gun, it would slow us down too because we would have to actually wait on the paint to dry. So I'm thankful to God for the heat gun. Think about that. The greats, the masters that they call them, the master painters. We're the new master painters, all right? But the master painters of what they call them in the museums, they didn't have heat guns. They had to wait for their stuff to dry. And they were using like oils and stuff like that. Could you imagine having to wait on oil to dry to get to your next layer or to get to your next inspiration? Like you would have to be motivated for hours. I would hate that. I have to stay in a motivated vibe so that way I could keep working. I have to stay in this motivated, inspired vibe for days on end because the oil's drying for days. It's curing. Back at it. What up, Snappy? Snaptrap. Good morning. Haley. Happy that you're here. Dang, man, you should start metricing of how you especially on the paintings, getting it all. Let's see here. It says, imagine a day when your class hits 1,000 paintings while you're talking. Can't imagine working in oils and waiting. Exactly. Could you imagine? All right. Like that's what I was saying. It's like I know there's going to be parts of today where I'm going to be using the dryer, but what I'm going to do for sake of this live stream today, I'm going to try not to use the I'm going to try not to use the dryer too much, because what happens is it just slows things down, and we're already on a slow down speed anyways because I'm live streaming. So I need to chop things up, you know? Let's see here. I see you work on smaller canvases. Carrie says, I see you work on smaller canvases. Do you do large? What is the best selling size? I do all sizes. Yeah, I do large. I do up to 7 feet. I do large. I do small. I mean, but I don't do too small. Like I don't really do 12, 10 by 8s like that too much. Because that's just too small. Sometimes I do 12 by 9s to feed the algorithm, but it just depends. You can't really determine what's it depends because we work off of auctions, but we also use the auctions to um, we also use the auctions to leverage against the buy it now store where people make their money at. But as long as you're being consistent, you can make your money. It all builds up to in the auction. And being consistent in the auction is what helps people sell things in the buy it now store. For my elite members here, you can see where we have people who are selling items from their buy it now store is because they're being consistent, showing up with the auctions. I always said that in my earlier videos. I always said that is that they all work hand in hand. You can't focus on just one you can't just focus on the buy it now or the auctions. You have to focus on both of them. The auctions is what helps sell your buy it now. You wanna sell the buy it now? Then focus on the auctions. If you want to sell good auctions, then focus on the auctions every day. You have to. And then it all adds up. And I'm thankful to God that as time is progressing now and you're getting deeper in the game, you're getting more into your store, you're getting months on into it, you're starting to understand what Corbellic is saying. Oh, it makes sense now. Oh, I get it now. At first I didn't understand it. Now I get it. I'm like, see, I told you. There's a method to the madness. Going to check out school. Get in there. It's the best community. It's not just a course where you're in there alone and you're figuring things out and you play the first few videos and it's like, hey, let me introduce you about myself. I grew up in a small farm community. I thought this way about art when I was a kid. No, the first one is this is how you get the money. Set up your account. Do this. This is how you're going to do a listing. You have a 14-day sales activity as soon as you get in there. So every single day you start slow and you build your way up to your first listing, your first count set up. And then by the end of it, you'll already have sales. No one else is doing that, especially in the art community. All right. There's our ego right there. I'm not gonna trip too much about this one. I just want to get on to the next one. See, we did this one in 7 minutes. Let's go. Let's go. Let's turn the light on. Boom. Actually, let me punch in the eye a little bit. Don't need to, but why not? And there we go, right there. I'm happy with it. Let me put our signature on it. And boom, there we go. Blessing Studio says, dang, man, you should start metricing how many exponential paintings that you're getting all of us to finish in such a short. That is true, but there would be no way to do that. But it's just such a blessing by itself, just to hear so many people at the end of each stream. They come to they'll tell me inside the community where they'll go, today I was able to finish 15 with you. I was able to finish 7 with you. I was able to finish this. And I always joke around. I'm like, well, y'all are all faster than me now. That's a blessing to hear. So it's like, when I did this live, when I started doing this live last week, I didn't have the idea that, I guess, it helps people when I'm doing this together, when I'm doing this, and that people are going to be painting along, and it's going to help you throughout the process, and you could just kind of see it that way. I guess I wasn't thinking that way. I just wanted to show up live, and I guess it was just a way for us to communicate or stay in contact better, really, instead of me doing the videos, because I just got tired of editing. Editing is too slow for me. I got tired of editing each video. So that's why I really did this. And then seeing it was just better than that, because it's like it brings the community together, and we're doing this together. A lot of people, they actually need that process to see that how you're doing it, when you're doing it, and it inspires people. And that's a great thing. So I appreciate that. All right, now let me put a parchment paper on top. Boom. All right, on to the next one. Because I understand how important it is, but I guess at times I just get so I don't think about certain things because I've been doing it for so long. So when it's like riding a bike, right? If you're riding a bike, certain things about riding a bike or even driving a car you don't think about. But then, like, to other people who don't do it, they think about it, and you don't realize what you're helping. You don't realize what you're doing. So it's kind of that whole process. All right, let's see what the next painting is. This one I'm going to do on I'm going to pull out the bigger one on this one. This is going to be a 16 by 20. Because this one I'm going to do a portrait. This one's going to be a portrait of the late Robin Williams. I've done this painting before, but I want to knock it out real quick, and I'm just inspired to do it. It was such a fun painting to do it when I did it, and why not do another one? I'm going to show you how to go throughout these pretty quick. All right, so this is the 16 by 20. This is a little bit of the larger one right now. Let's see here. Boom, let's hone in on him. Robin Williams. All right. Let's do this. Look at that. Yeah, I think this is fine. All right, so let's just work the background really quick. I'm just going to do a light blue. No, actually, what I'm going to do, since it's mostly his face, I'm not going to do a light blue because I can always punch in on the background if I want. I'm just going to go straight into like a skin tone on here. I'm just going to go in with a whole skin tone, and I'm going to go over the whole thing. I'm not going to try to edge out what the eyes are and all that. No, I'm going to go over the whole thing with a skin tone. And then the beauty part about us working with the projector, we can always add the layers after that, but at least that we have the skin tone that's there. So that's a secret right there of how to get through these. Like, if you're doing a portrait, is portraits are really easy. They're really easier than all the other paintings that I do, or that you're going to do too. I mean, anytime I see people who do portraits, they're really not difficult at all, because it's mostly you're just dealing with one color, really, and it's easier to just go off of that one, like what we're doing right now. it's just easier to do a blend of that skin tone. Like I'm using the two inch brush right now, right? And look, it's gonna look so good. And there's not that much work that's involved. It's not like we're doing anything with cubisms or any kind of extra colors or anything. Look, we already have this. So that's the base color right there. We already have our base color done. We're using the large brush. Boom, that's done. Now, what I'll do is I'll take the 1.5 inch brush. Hey, discerning light. Good morning, good afternoon. Happy that you're here. Let me dry this off just a little bit. Can't imagine working in oils and waiting. I can't either. I just can't imagine doing it. My brain doesn't work that way. I need it now. But also, what am I supposed to do if I create a masterpiece today and then I list it and then I'm embarrassed that somebody wants it tomorrow? They buy it. Then what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to tell that buyer, well, you can't have it yet. It's still curing. Or sometimes what oil painters do, they'll actually ship an item and it's not even done curing yet. And then what happens is they get a bad review because they're like, they shipped me this item and it wasn't even dried yet. It wasn't even done yet. 755 Media. Hey, how you doing? Happy to have you here. Yeah, this is hotter than the blow dryer. But no, you don't have to watch it. I mean, it's very easy to use. So it's not like it's gonna burn a hole or burn, anything serious like that. So now what I'm gonna do just slightly, I'm just gonna do a slighter, darker color. So that way I can get some of the areas and there's no right or wrong. Actually, that's too dark. There's no right or wrong, really. Yeah, this is fine. I just want to have another layer on top, really. So I'm going to get through this as quick as I can. Let me lighten this up just a little bit more. I'm done using a hair dryer. I have a heat gun on order. Oh yeah. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life, Lee. It's going to change your life. There's no going back. I used to use a blow dryer. I used to use a blow dryer for years. So annoying. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just invest in it. And then it's not even that expensive. Just go to a hardware store. I forget how much I paid for it. I think it was like $50 or so. Or maybe between 50 or $100, something like that. But whatever, it's so worth it because it's my time. And it helps you earn your time back. This is what we do. If you want to make the money, it's all about timing. Someone wrote something that was so true in one of the comments. They said, I don't understand people's whole notion acting like time is so important when it comes to the paintings or things like that. They were like, if anybody actually studied art history, and if they're being genuine instead of trying to be like, um, if they're being genuine instead of trying to either be judgmental, then they would know that throughout history, all artists have always tried to have shortcuts on time. They always tried to do things faster. And that's what we specialize here, is that we specialize in time. We specialize in doing things faster. Instead of these modern day artists who are just creating issues amongst themselves, or I call it gatekeeping. because you're not being sincere, you're being disingenuous. Because if you were being serious and you study all the greats, right, or whatever they call the greats, whatever, we're the greats. But if you study the artists, they've always tried to have, I mean, they would obsess over making things quicker. And that's why it's like we're the best artists because we specialize in making things quicker and more efficient. And that's what the heat gun is going to do for you. Heat gun all the way. Time is money. Exactly. Time is money. So don't let any of these, don't let anybody tell you in your family or any people who the only reason that people would try to tell you different is because they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to some art school, and they're mad that you have the notion to get past it yourself and you're doing better. How dare you? You have to go to art school like I did. How dare you do this on your own and have the the courage to do it? I'm going to tell my art coach on. I'm going to tell my professor on you, and we're gonna make fun of you. Who cares? All the greats tried to figure out ways how to make things faster. We're kind of like magicians, you know. We do the we do magical stuff, but we have to also have shortcuts on how we do it and make it seem more majestic than what it is at times. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the only difference between like me and what I do compared to the other magicians who are artists is that I'm one of those artists like I'm one of those magicians that actually show you how to do the trick. This is this is going to be Robin Williams, but I can see where you could think that it would be Abraham Lincoln. Don't worry, it's going to come all together. I'm just building up the layers to his face, and then everything else is easy after that. You know those magicians who actually have like you ever see them on TV shows or whatever, and they actually show how to do the trick. Those magicians get blacklisted. You know that? You know those magicians, they get blacklisted hard from their magic community and all that because they're telling normal people how to do the trick. That's me. That's us. So it's like these other artists who are part of that, they paid art school and whatever. They're mad at me. They're mad at us because we're showing how to do the trick. But it's like, why not? I'm an honest believer that there's enough money, there's enough resources, there's enough opportunity for all of us out here to be winning, for all of us to get money. Like a lot of times people are so selfish, they think that there's scarcity in the market. No, you can't tell all these people because there's not enough buyers out there to buy all of the other stuff. And there's enough resources, there's enough opportunity for everybody to win. That's the real thing that people don't want to talk about. That's the real thing that other artists or the community they they kind of frown on is that they think there's only a certain amount of buyers out there. Well, if you do that, then you're going to oversaturate the market, and people aren't going to buy my detailed dolphin that I spent that I spent a decade on. And I kept painting it. All right, so now what I'm going to do right now I'm going to do the easy work. Let's see here. I've used Lucy in art school. Agreed. People buy crazy art for write-offs and then hang them in museums. Exactly. You know, I talk about that as well too. Is that a large part of the gallery art world that people don't understand the underbelly? It's mostly money laundering. the real belly of the beast. The real belly of the beast of the art market is usually it's money laundering. All right, so now I'm going to go into his hair, and then I'm just going to do a black on the hair because then I'm going to layer it later on, and it's going to be easy. So let's just go straight into it. I'm going to do black. Yeah, a lot of the art is money laundering. But the thing is, that's why the industry, that's why like museums or galleries are closing now because they got exposed, and that the now them they got over leveraged. They got saturated. Here you got all of a sudden you got someone like Hunter Biden being an artist overnight, right? And his artwork is selling more than Picasso's. Explain that. I mean, I'm not hating. I just understand the game. I understand money laundering. A rising tide lifts all ships. So true. So true. A rising tide lifts all ships. So, on today's topic, what we're going to be talking about is how to go about commissions, how to deal with commissions, especially since, I mean, I guess that's a great segue when we were just talking about galleries. All right. And when you're starting off, you want to be open to all opportunities. You have to be. I mean, that's how you're going to be able to really build up a clientele for yourself, but and get your name out there. You're not in a position to say no to opportunities of a commission. And even if it seems like the situation or the idea of it sucks or whatever, it's still a way for you to flex your creativity. If someone says that they want maybe a portrait of their dog or something like that, just do it and get it done and over with. But also, both parties have to feel good about commission. Someone Carrie's wrote, commissions must be stressful. Do most just let you go with it? It depends on how you should go with it. But that's what we're going to talk about. Is that especially when you're starting off, and especially with eBay. See, this is what's going to happen when it comes to eBay. The reason how we talk about inside the elite community, why I stress that you have different collectors, right? And you have different collectors because you're going to know from the different type of art styles that you're putting out there. It's not really so about today, which it is, and about understanding your market, which it also is, but it also about putting your fillers out there because what's going to happen is that you're going to get people who they're like, dang, this one art piece might have sold or might have went on auctions and they didn't have the opportunity to do it. So they're going to ask you, hey, do you still have anything similar to that? Or even if not, they're going to say, I really like this one piece. Or are you open for commissions? That's why I stress in there when you have the first thing that you do when you set up your account is that you have in the description notes that you are open for commissions, you're available for commissions. The reason why is because they'll hit you up and they'll say, "Hey, I really like this. I really want a commission." But when somebody hits me up and they ask for a commission, I do so many art styles, right? I do so many different things. I don't know what they want, like what kind of art style. So usually I go, "Oh, like." Usually what they'll do is they'll send me a message on a painting of what caught their eye. So then I'll know what reference they're talking about. But if not, I'll ask them, what caught your eye? so I can know what the reference is, or what direction would you like? That way I can know to go off of that, because then it's based off of me having artistic freedom in whatever I'm creating. But for you starting off, maybe you don't be so loose where you could be like artistic freedom too much in comparison to kind of what they want. And it's really a gray area because you want the opportunity. You don't want to say no and act like you've had an eBay account open for so long, or like you're just, you know, you're too good for the opportunity when somebody wants to give you money. And then the thing about them wanting to give you money is they come back to you as long as you do good business. So it's a great way to make money and be open for it. There's a lot of artists who also, you get to a point where there's a lot of artists who don't like commissions. Because really you come to the studio and you create whatever the piece is that you create, and then you just want to do that the one time. A lot of times people don't understand when they're buying from you, whatever the genius is that they happen to like from your artwork, they don't understand that it wasn't intentional for you to do whatever that happy mistake genius was. It just came out that way. And whatever they liked from it, they think that you could just create that magic in a bottle again. Like it just works like that. It doesn't. Especially how we work, because we work fast and loose, where the magic is already there, but we create it by working fast. And sometimes these great happy mistakes, they appear without us trying to do it. That's why we don't try to focus too much on like how other people create art and being perfect and all that, because then you can't find the magic in the bottle. And they'll they'll want something, but it might not be exactly what they're thinking. And that's the tricky part too. You have to know that. So anytime dealing with the commission as well, if they're hitting you up, you have to kind of fill out their personality. And these are things that it's kind of hard to articulate, but you'll get better in due time. Because if they're already feeling like, if you can smell it on them, you can feel it, like if they're going to be difficult. You can smell it if they're going to be difficult, if they like ask too many questions, or if they have too many requests, they're going to be difficult. The best collectors that you're going to come across is the ones who's like quick. Hey, I like your work. I want to do this. You give a price, they're like, okay, boom, that's it. Those are the best ones because they just want a piece of you. They want to buy, they trust in your artistic decisions. The other ones who ask too many questions, those are red flags because they really don't trust in your artistic, they don't trust in your artistic decision. That's why they're asking all these questions. And it's up to you if you want to take that paycheck or not. I'm not telling you not to, especially if you're just starting off and you want to, like, if you trust in the process and you know that you're going to knock it out the park, but of course you're going to knock it out the park. Like, you have no choice, then do the project. But if it feels like the person is like a little bit too difficult or they're asking too many questions, then it's up to you, where then it's this is what I would do. It's up to you to either make it difficult for them by busting their head open. When I say by bust their head open, I mean uh, charge the price a little bit more, a couple more $1,000. $1,000 more, $2,000 more. Like if it seems like they're asking too many questions, or if you could just smell it, you could feel it, your intuition, you'll get better with this feeling. Tell them it's $7,000 for the project. Tell them it's $5,000 for the project. Now, what they'll do is you can feel them out off of that, where they'll want to go low. It's kind of like the pawn shop or the pawn wars or whatever, where it's like you start at a number and then they want to go at a different number. They'll always say, oh well, I was thinking this. They'll say, I was thinking this number. This is where I'm really at. So it's like you have to negotiate. You have to kind of do that a little bit. So it's better to start high, a little bit high of whatever it is, and then you can work from there. But try not to work too much from there, because then if they feel like you're too flexible on it, then you were just making up a number anyways instead of being stern of what the art price is. Now, when it comes to like per square inch and all of that stuff, that's art school stuff. I don't talk about I don't talk about you should charge your artwork per square inch and per oil and per all of that stuff is like academics. Keep it real simple with yourself because you could have a small piece of art, which is like a Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa's small, and you could just say, "Hey, it's $5,000 because I say so." It has nothing to do about the size. It could just be whatever you're feeling like. The price could be whatever you're feeling like, and whatever you say the price is. Don't over explain why the price is that. Well, actually, it's $5,000 because I spent double layers on this and I did the double varnish on that and I did this. And what you're also going to be getting is a high gallery wrap. That don't do all that and try to oversell it. Your price is your price. Leave it there and then have them come back because we do have to say what a price point is. But the first person after that who tries to talk more about pricing, they lose. And you're the buyer or you're the artist, so you have more power at the negotiation table. They don't. So always thinking that in the mindset is that you're the art you're the one who has the power at the negotiation table. I'm gonna dry this off on the hair so that way I could go in with the layers on the. And this is the key thing too that I had to learn when dealing with negotiations. Don't say a price point to make them feel comfortable or because you're nervous or anything like that. The art of the deal is being able to walk away from a deal even though you might be dead broke. That's your power, that's your advantage to be able to walk away from a deal and have the confidence of that. It doesn't matter. You hold the power, but scared money makes no money. So if you start acting scary about your negotiation, they can smell it on you. They can smell the desperation on you. And people and how humans work, why do they want to give you a bag of money if they see that you're somebody who's not even used to dealing with the bag of money? People only get money when you look like money, you talk like money, you know how to have confidence of money. If you're confident in the negotiation and you say what you're saying, you don't have to have all these extra selling points and you're not stuttering and you're like, they ask you your price point, uh 2,000? Uh 3,000? Don't do that type of stuff. Cause then they're like, I ain't giving you nothing. You don't even know how to like you're not even acting like you know how to move with money. Anytime I think of negotiations and I'm negotiating or I'm dealing with art commission and it's a new collector, I'm in the mindset of where I don't need the money. You need to put that in your mindset where it's like you don't even need the commission. Like you're like it's a hassle, like not a hassle, but it's like you need to be nonchalant about it. Like either way, I got other things that's going on. Like you need to kind of put on that kind of smell where it's like, I'm kind of busy right now. It's kind of this season, but I can see. What did you have in mind? You come off like that, you say your price point, they're gonna want to buy it. Let's see here. Smooth says, should you push off talking about the price until you get a feel of how difficult they would be? Nah, put it up front because then you're going to be getting more of an idea of who they are anyways. Like usually how I go about it is that if someone says that they wanted something, I always say what is the requested canvas size or what is your wall size, because sometimes people don't a lot of times people don't really know, like they're not artists like us, so they don't know canvas size and all of that stuff. They just want art. So but they do know what their wall size is. They do know, oh, I want it in my living room and my living room is this big and it's that. They do know that. So as soon as they could tell me what their living room size is or the wall size is, I could always tell them. I always think of something a little bit bigger so that way I could charge them. And I'd be like, oh, okay, you want a 48 by 36 or you want a 30 by 40. I do stuff like that. Either a 30 by 40 or a 48 by 36. Those are standard kind of gallery size for me. Anything more than that would be like anything more than that would be like a 5-footer. And those right there, I would have to buy a canvas unstretched roll, and then um those are more those have more steps to it. But normally it's just like either 40 by 40, 30 by 40, or 48 by 36. And then from there I go. But this is the thing too. Once they tell me what the requested canvas size is, you have to price it right, and price it at a point where you're not going to feel bad afterwards. This is another thing. All right, say to yourself this before you give the price. If they agree to it too easy, do you feel comfortable about it? And what I mean by that is, let's just say you give a price because you think that the person, they might not buy it, or you want the money. You're like, 2,000? And then let's put yourself in a situation where they say to you, oh, okay, deal. Okay, if they say deal that quick, do you feel good about it? Do you feel like, damn, maybe I could have got more money? If so, then put yourself in a situation where you could have asked for more money and asked from it from the beginning, because you can't go backwards and be like, well, actually, no, actually, it's 3,000. Does that make sense? So put yourself in a situation where you'll feel good about it afterwards, either regardless if you think that they're broke, they're not broke, or they'll say yes or they won't say yes. Both parties have to feel good about it. And you want to feel good about the art that you're creating. You don't want to feel like the whole time, like, damn, I could have got more money for this. But it was me who was acting like scary about it, because scared money makes no money. And I've been in situations like that too, where you're like, damn, I could have made more money. But my negotiation was all scary and whack. And here they got a deal out of it when I could have made more. So put yourself in a situation where it's like, to feel good about it afterwards, if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Tulio says the heat gun is around $30 on Amazon. Exactly. I'm pretty sure you could get it pretty cheap on Amazon. I'm just saying, I think it was my brand though. My brand is like more of the hardware, hardcore one. It's the Wagner. I think it was like $50, maybe $50, $60 or something like that from the Home Depot. But you could get a heat gun pretty cheap on Amazon. I just wanted to make sure that mine was like the professional heavy duty one. Like I don't want to waste, like, let's just get straight to it, because this is going to be something that's going to save me time. So you want to make sure that it's priced right, so you feel good about it. So just start high. The worst thing that they can say to you is no. But most times, it's a very smaller percentage that they'll say no, in comparison to being like, they'll tell you where they're at and be like, oh, actually, I was thinking this. So if you start high, at least then that's where they could tell that they'll tell you their number. Most of the times they'll tell you where, actually, I was thinking this. They'll tell you where they're at. And then you could go from there and be like, either you'll work with it, or you'll be like, actually, I was thinking, you could say, oh, that's fine, as long, there's even situations where you could say that's fine as long as you bundle it, if you get two. Or that's fine. That I'll do this. I'll do this for future. You could say stuff like, I'll do this for future relationships for our future relationship in collecting, because sometimes too they want to see how the first piece is going to be, and then they'll come back to you. So that's a cost of business as well too, for them to come back. Like I said, like, you'll get better at it, but I stay away. Personally, me, after doing this for so long, I stay away from people who have the idea of what they want compared to like if they have the idea because you'll never be able to you'll never be able to reach their outcome of what they want. You'll never be able to meet their expectations, what's in their head. And the crazy part about that is like if you got expectations like that that's already in your head, then you might as well have created yourself, but you can't create it yourself. So you hit me up. And you can't do it yourself. So whatever is in your mind, you'll never be able to meet what's in their mind. And you could tell that from if you talk to them. And if they have too many requests and too many, I want it like this, I want it like that. It's a difficult person. It depends on if you just want the money and you don't care and you're like, I just whatever, I'll just do it, then that's fine. Cause that's what I would do too, especially starting off. I would say definitely take everything that you can within your first 2 to 3 years because you don't know where it's going to lead you. And it can lead you to great opportunities. It can lead you to good stuff. But I've also done this long enough where it could become a headache as well too. And then not only a headache, this is the thing. If they don't have a good personality, most times you won't even feel good about the assignment. You won't feel good about doing it. It's going to feel like a chore. And how we create where it's based on creating fast and not like it's a homework assignment. But also I understand at the end of the day, like I can't tell you how to get your money and not and how to and not to take an opportunity. You have to do what's best for you. I'm glad that you're here, Carrie. I'm glad that yeah, there's a lot of great content. There's a lot of great videos there that you could binge out forever. And I've only been doing this for 3 months, which is crazy. So you have to have the negotiations, or you have to have the confidence when you're negotiating, because that's the leverage. You have to always act like you've been here before. That's always like a secret to anything in life. You go on a date with a girl, or you're out somewhere. The thing in your mind is like pretend that you've been here before. Pretend that you've done this before. Pretend that you've dealt with $1 million deals before. Or they can smell it on you. And who wants to do business with somebody who's like unsure of themselves? Set your baseline price and leave it there. Don't over explain yourself. And remember, the art of the deal, be able to walk away from the deal. Say no. Or, have them get their money up. That's fine. Or you could also guide them to something else that maybe would be their speed. People love scarcity. People also love the idea that maybe they're not in a position where they can work with you. I mean, you're a special person. That's why it's also important as well that when that's why it's also important as well when we don't have our baseline of what we do as auction or anything like that on eBay. We also want to fill up our buy it now store with Mona Lisas as well and with Rolex prices so people understand where your baseline is at for your price. So that's why it's like if you go to my store, like I have items in there for my buy it now where it's like my 16 by 20s. range between $500 and $1,000. But also I'll have larger pieces in there that are the gallery ones that are between what, $5,000 and $10,000. That way, if someone wants to do commission with you in their mind, because in their mind, buyers are buyers. They've already researched most of your stuff beforehand. So they're going to try to come to the negotiation table or with research, but they're not going to tell you the research. They've already done it. But you want to make sure when they come to the table, they're not going to be like, well, because in their mind, they're going to thinking, well, in your store, though, your item that was this same size or this same thing, that price point was this. I always tell people in the elite community, when you put things in the buy it now store, just because you want a quick profit, don't race to the bottom and put your stuff for 30, 40, whatever dollars like that. Make sure that you have Rolex prices up in there. So that way, when your collector, your future collector is doing research and they want to reach out to you for a commission, they can have a baseline of where you're at. They know that you have Rolexes in there. So that way, even if you do want to say $5,000, $10,000, at least they know that, okay, you're saying it because you actually do have artwork that's priced that way when I research you, but they just won't tell you that they did the research. Let's see here. What about repairs on a commission? Is there a warranty promise? No. Once it's delivered, it's done. There's no repairs. This isn't safe. This isn't safe life, safe repairs. There's no warranties out here for the artwork. Now, of course, we're going to make sure that it's delivered in pristine condition. And one of the things that I do is make sure that it's insured when it's delivered, or how the carrier is, depending on the carrier through FedEx and UPS. I make sure that it's insured, and I have certain carriers that make sure that it's in good condition. But other than that, heck no. Repairs, repair it yourself. Whatever they did, that's on them at that point. But we're definitely not. We're definitely making sure that everything is it's received in good condition, and it's not in bad condition. So, and that's the thing that we check on first when it's delivered. But either than that, that's up to them. That's on them at that point. We're done with it. They want another piece, then they can do that. If they want, I mean, which is a rare. I mean, that's never even happened. I never had somebody be like, "Can you re can you repair a commission?" No way. Like, I'm done with it. I don't want to even. I'm done with that project. I don't even like. We're done with that. I'm on to the next one. That's your bag, not my bag. All right, now I'm going to do a light blue around him and then call it a day. I loved Robin Williams growing up. When when I was a kid, I remember going to the movie theaters to see the movie Hook, where he played Peter Pan. It was such a classic. I felt bad for him when he self-deleted himself. Such a sad thing. Troubled soul. All right, let me add the light blue on the outskirts, and that's it. Let me do the 1.5 inch brush so we can get done with this and on to the next one. I had a commission off of eBay that was like $15,000, and it was a local, and I did do a installation for them. And the only reason I did the installation is because of the price point, but normally I would never do an installation. It was just a hassle, and it was like a 7 foot painting too. It was just such a hassle. I remember just hating the whole process. Like, I'm the artist. I'm not no hardware person. I'm the artist. I'm not some handyman. So here I had to pretend I had to be there and act like I knew what I was doing, like symmetrical wise and hanging it up and making sure it was in a thing. And it's like it's your house. Like you should have somebody do that, or you should do that yourself of how you want your. So that's the thing too. Like if someone asks you for the installation, don't do it. Just do the art. Like I'm an artist. I'm not doing the installation. Or if you can, or if you do want to do the installation and somebody pays you a pretty penny for it, just hire somebody, hire a handyman to do it because they have the experience to do it with the ladder and all of that stuff. Just hire them to do it and come over and have them do it. What you're going to realize too once you get to a certain point is that sometimes you have people who are just they're fans, and they just want you to they want to either see you, they want to be around, or they want to make comments, or you'll just notice certain things like that, and you got to know how to go about it. Kill their fandom off by you're busy and you're unapproachable by hiring a handyman. Send the handyman over. I'm going to send the handyman over to do that for you. I'm in the studio. I'm working. Have a great day. Thank you for your support. Hope the kids are well. Let me know if there's something else on the future contract. I'll talk to you soon. We ain't friends, but you do have to make it seem like you do have to in a business of sales, you do have to put on the identity that you are friends. And you know what? Maybe you could come across some really rare collectors who are great. I have some really great collectors where we actually are friends and they're great, but those are very far in between. But you'll know off of their personality and if you could just mesh with them right away. Bangarang, exactly. I love that. Rufio, Rufio, Rufio. That's my boy right there, Robin Williams. Let's put our signature on Robin and call it a day. I think we did him justice. We did him right. All right, there it is right there. That's our Robin Williams. It took us 30 minutes, not bad. So knocked it out. What do you think? Isn't he beautiful? That's beautiful right there. I like to change the color. Pink on this side, little light blue on that side. Look, knocked it out. Did him some justice. And boom, let's put this to the side. On to the next. This one I'm going to do in the 16 by 20 as well. This is going to be a um, pop art expressionism cartoon. Because why not? I can do whatever I want. Let's see here. Awesome. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody being here. Leave a like if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video. Let YouTube know that we are doing God's work out here. All right. That was beautiful. What size was the canvas? That was a 16 by 20. The old fun 16 by 20. All right. Let's see what we got here. Boom. Let's do Daffy Duck with the Shell gas station in the background. This is going to be expressionism piece. I love doing these type of pieces. I could do these all day, and these sell well because it's just being authentic. It's being you. People can't find this kind of thing. You're being neo-expressionism. You're being also kind of maybe social, political, or you're being whatever. I don't know. You're just throwing stuff in there and making it seem like we're more deep than what we are. That's always the fun part. Let them do the guessing game of what's what. All right, I'm gonna do a light pink over here. Let's do a light pink. And I got the 2-inch brush right now. I'm just being loose with it, especially when it comes to these neo-expressionism kind of paintings. The more loose, the better. You don't want to be tight with it. That's the thing. That's the thing about people who go to art school as well too. Everything is so tight, and you could tell when it's tight. It's like they're trying not to make a mistake so bad. Like I see these. Check this out. I think what I'm gonna do. Let me hear your suggestion on this or what you think. I'm going to start doing some reaction videos as well to like some art pieces that I see or like some art kind of stuff and give my take on it. Not where we're coming from a judgmental standpoint, because we don't care either way. We're gonna stay in our own frequency and do our own thing. But like I seen this video today, this guy, he was like, I think it was like he was doing like this painting or this reveal, and he was like, it was like he thought it was a flex or something, like a good thing. He was like, I spent 100 hours on this one painting, and it was a polar bear. The polar bear was beautiful. It was a beautiful painting, but it was just a polar bear that's like a detailed painting of a polar bear where he spent all this time doing each hair stroke, and it was tight. So when we talk about it being tight, it was like it's beautifully like the aesthetic is like everything like you've got to do everything perfect because you're in fear of like being judged that one hair is off, and it just looks like a copy that somebody could print. Like what's the point of it? There's no artist, there's nothing. Sounds interesting with the video idea. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do like different just different things that I see online about art in general. Like maybe like for example, I'm gonna find the video of where it's like the banana duct taped on the wall, right? And then I'm gonna talk about that, like just my reaction on it, laugh at certain points, and just have different things on there that we can kind of laugh at. And it's not like we're coming from a judgmental standpoint. We're just talking about it because there is no right or wrong to art, but when I seen that video, I was like, man, I want to talk. I was like, I want to talk about this with the community. I want to talk about this type of video, this type of art, like doing art like that. You're just trying to not have your you're trying to not have your friends and family ridicule you online. That's the type of art. When I see people do tight art like that, like you care what people think. That's why you're just trying to be so pretty. Like I can spend all that time too and try to be pretty. Those days is over with because that just means I care too much about what the world thinks of me, and I don't care. Like you're too tight, and people can tell when your art is too tight. Like tight artwork is so played out. Like there's too many artists out there that you could easily buy tight, designed, aesthetically pleasing, too close together artwork. It's just all the same. Like anybody could go get that. Hey Jackie, happy to have you here. Hope you're good. Jackie. That's why I know I say this every single day, but it's like I love where Picasso's like, it took me 17 years of my life to paint like an adult, super tight together and everything is perfect. And then he said it took me 40 to 50 years of my life to learn how to paint like a child. Like I'm not being tight and controlling, and I don't care. Like when people would come to his studio, he would always have that he would always have a fake prop gun on him that shot blanks. And when someone would ask him, "Oh, what does that art mean? What does that look? What does that mean?" or something, that it was like a matador with a head this way or two faces this way, and he would shoot the prop gun at them, the blanks. He would shoot the blanks at them anytime they would ask him, "What does that mean?" Because then they're coming from an artistic standpoint of being like they want everything to make sense and be so tight together and be so aesthetically pleasing and perfect, so no one can judge you. Anytime I see artwork like that, it's like it lets me know your psychology that you're scared to have people judge you, and that's just I. I'm not knocking anybody. It's just me in my direction. That's just weak to me. to me personally. Friday night cocktail hour art comedy. Hey, that's pretty good right there. Yeah, I'm thinking of like doing it every other day though. I wouldn't do it every day, depending on the success of it or like the reception. But that's what I'm thinking, like every other day. And maybe it would be Friday because Fridays we don't do live stream. So maybe Friday, or yeah, Fridays we don't do a morning live stream. So maybe on Friday I could do something like that. But I want to do that where it's like I could just have a chance to sit down at the desk, and there's so many things, and it's like we could just go over certain. I'll collect videos throughout the week of certain things that I want to talk about, and I'll just put it on a reaction where we're watching it together, and like my at least my thoughts on it, and I'll have to put a disclaimer or something in there like these are just my thoughts. I'm not being negative, or I'm not. You could do what you want. Not being judgmental. There is no right or wrong. Let's see here. Love your art. I learned a lot from you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Celia. That really means a lot to me. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody being here. I really appreciate. I really like this transition, this evolution of doing these lives so much better. Like I said, I just got tired. I got tired of editing videos. Like I'm just, me. I'm so used to doing everything fast. So I hated just I would even like I, I was even timing. So when I would edit videos, I would even put a timer next to how long it's taking me to edit each video. That's how I am. You know me. Like everything's got to be efficient. There's got to be like time is money. So I would even time myself. How long is it taking me to edit the videos? And even that was just taking too long. And I'm like, dang. Bless Studio says, I respect that you've never went personally after one's artist or artist methods. I can't blame people at a season in their life, even if it is ridiculous. Keeping commentary in community versus public. Yeah, no, there is no right or wrong. It's all subjective. Like just because my point of view is my point of view, but I can never say to, you know, I can never tell anybody how to do business, how to sell art, how long to do it, or any of that stuff. I always say things that is from my point of perspective and things that either I learned, things that I've learned from, or things that, but even, someone wants to go in that direction, I never say for them not to. Even I always even tell people, hey, you might have to go through a certain journey in your life more and bump your head and go through certain things for you to understand a lot of the things that I talk about. A lot of the things that I talk about, my philosophy on life and my philosophy on business and art, a lot of times people don't understand it unless you've been through the fire and then you've been through life, and then it makes sense. A lot of the things that I say don't make sense to people who haven't been through it. And I always say, hey, I'm not judging you on that. You just got to live life a little bit more. You got to go through these steps. If you feel like you want to be an influencer or a gallery artist and you want to do these things and you think that path is, and you still haven't gone through that yet, then I suggest you do it. I suggest you go to the art fairs. I suggest you do everything that you need to do. I always suggest for people to do it, but I just been, and that's the thing too, is like, I got too many videos. I got too much pictures. I got too much proof of that life that I've already done. And I could talk about it. Maybe other people don't. So it's like the judgmental views of maybe somebody else who doesn't understand from the outside looking in. They could say these things to other people, but they can't say it to me because I got way too much proof of everything. I got proof on the eBay side. I got proof on the gallery side. I got proof on the art fair. I got proof of all of it. So it's like, let's see here. The Wagner heat gun on Amazon is $27. That's amazing. Yeah, so y'all need to pick that up because that's exactly what I got. I got the Wagner heat gun, $27. I don't know. I don't think I added that on the I don't think I added that on the supply list in the elite community. I'm gonna add that on there. Thank you. When I had to reject an offer, I always made sure to offer a good alternative that would work for me. Maybe they are ready for something else. Exactly. That's also a business thing too. Is that you can always be nice and have a different suggestion for somebody. So, for example, for 3 months I had the free art community. But then I see that it wasn't pushing people in the trajectory of where they can help themselves. And we were getting a lot of fence sitters or a lot of people who were thinking that, I don't know. And it wasn't pushing them in the right direction. So when I made the choice that, hey, you know, this is going to be a $5 a month community now, and that's just the free community where it really doesn't have any access course or anything in there. That's not the elite. Um, one gentleman in there, he was like, well, if you do that, then I'm leaving. That wasn't our deal. I mean, I don't know what deal he's talking about. It's my page. But I said, as an alternative, well, I have a free Facebook page that you could go to if that's more your speed. Always have an alternative out there so that way it's not like you always have to have an option, and that way it leaves you in the better leverage position. Or just like what Tulio was saying, if someone was like, I can't afford that, then I was like, oh well, here's some artwork that I do have available right now that could be more of your thing. Or what I would say too, if someone said that they can't afford a certain price point because really it's based off of that size, then I would say to them, well, okay, if they would tell me what the price point is and they would say, I was thinking of this, I'd be like, oh, okay, for that size or for that amount, I can actually do a 20 by 20 for you if that's something you're looking for. I do that all the time. I pivot. So if they say that they can't do a price point and then they eventually tell me the price point that they can do, it's up to you either to go with it, accept the offer, but if not, you could take that offer off so that way they come back to you and they can know where you're at. But what I always do is I say, okay, for that price point, I can actually do a 20 by 20 for you, or I could do a little bit of whatever the smaller canvas size is. You could tell them that to give them option and they'll accept it. They always accept it. People in the cheapest seats boo the loudest. Isn't that the truth? Nope, it's not on the supply list. Yeah, I know it's not on the supply list. I'm going to put it in there. You're the ad man. You put it in there. No, I'm just joking. I'll put it in. I'll put it in there. People in the cheapest seats boo the loudest. Right? Like what? Like obviously you're not watching what the Corbellic channel is about, right? Like this, I always say this isn't an art show. You're here because I want you to make money. So that means that we're all in it for the money. We're not in it to be like, it's about the money. No one else, and that's the thing too. Like you have to create art, you have to be in that mindset. No one else is going to take care of your family and take care of you the way that you are going to take care of you. Because at the end of the day, people could tell you that they love you for free until it's time for them to break bread, right? Then they got excuses. Like they want you to work for free. People will have you work for free, and then they don't want to show you any kind of love. They don't want to have any kind of reciprocal. Like you're just supposed to be like you're just supposed to. And I'm like, have the alternative. I got a free Facebook group if that's your idea. Cause and just like I would tell certain collectors, even online on Facebook, I have assistants, I have bills, I have things that I have to pay for as well too. I got business expenses. I don't have to explain the business expenses to you, but it should be common sense. Like I run a business, I got business expenses too. So I don't know where you think like there's no free lunch in America. We still do live in America, right? You see me work every day, right? So back to what we were talking about when it comes to commissions, more to go into it. Um, when they finalize the commission, happy to put it in the sheet. Yeah, yeah, just put it in the sheet. Put it in the thing. I don't know if you have I don't know if you have access to change. Maybe not. If you're able to, then you can. But I don't know if you're able to. I have to go in there to do it, or you could just send me a message on there of the link. But when we were talking about commissions and they finalize it, right? Then it's up to you as well too if you want to do a deposit or if you want to get all the money up front. Me, I get all the money up front. Ask for all the money up front. But it depends on how big the project is. Like if you just told them the project is $5,000 or $7,000, right? Most people don't have that money up front. You know, it's understandable. So you could just ask for 50% because the 50% is still enough to afford you to complete the project and to finish whatever it is, right? Like if they say $5,000, or if you say $5,000 and they want to give you 2,500 up front, 2,500 up front is still cool. Just make sure that you don't deliver or anything like that until you get the other remaining part. So you finish the project as soon as possible, and then show them the artwork. Be excited about it for them. Be the cheerleader first. This is amazing. I can't wait to show you this art piece that I just finished. You're going to love it. Everyone that I showed wants this. Everyone that I showed your art painting to, they love it and they want it. You have to say stuff like that so they know that they're fortunate to have it. And then they're like, "Oh my God, I love it too." Be like, "Man, I love how this came up. I actually want to keep it for myself." I say stuff like that. And then you could put I say stuff like that and then they send the money right over. Then you have it. And then the best thing that you could do for yourself when it comes to because usually they ask too, how long is it going to take? How long is it going to take? I mean, me, if I accept it, for me, I tell them like less than a month, but it doesn't take me that long because I don't want it psychologically in my mind. The heavier that I have a project that I have to do, the more ickiness that it feels subconsciously inside of me. And you don't want to have that feeling inside where it's like you got to do this project because the more that you have an unfinished project, the more that you're not going to feel good about the project. Trust me. Don't do that to yourself. Get it done and over with. That way, time is money. So if someone pays you for a job, try to finish it that day or even the next morning. That's a cheat code right there that I wish I would have learned years ago. Because then, how much ever they pay you, it's going to make that paycheck even more important, and it's going to make it more. It's going to make it bigger in your mind, and because you've already completed that project. Compared to if they pay you a project and it's going to take you a couple weeks or so to do it, then you're basically in your mind, you're going to equate that time already for the time that they paid you. So you're going to feel like if they paid you $1,000, $2,000 or whatever to do a commission, and it takes you a week or two to do it, you're going to equate in your mind subconsciously that they paid you for 2 weeks time. And then you're going to be like, that's not worth the money no more. Then you're going to feel like you're not going to feel good about the deal. You're going to feel like you got scammed, when really you could put it in your mind that you're having the advantage and you're playing them because you're finishing the project quick. They don't have to know that you finished the project that day or the next day, but you'll feel better about the money the next day when you finish it, because action is everything. Just show up, do the action. Don't be like, don't rest on your laurels and congratulate yourself and pat yourself on the back too quick. Get done with it that day, the next day, and then you're going to be like, man, I just got paid for this project that I completed today or that I completed yesterday. You're going to feel like it's free money. But the more that it's on you psychologically, I think we talked more about this yesterday as well too. But I mean, since we're talking about commissions today, it's important to talk about, and it's something that took me years to really realize to do. Yeah, that's and people will only know this when you're. That's why most artists hate commissions. Most artists hate commissions because it's the notion of being like you have to create a homework assignment. And what feels good to us is being in the moment and creating something that we don't know what the beauty is at. So the best thing that you could do for yourself, how I go about commissions, the best way to go about commissions is finish them pronto. That's the cheat code. Finish them pronto. They don't have to know about it. Just finish it pronto. That's why you really want to get yourself in a position where they're buying artwork from you that's already created. Those are real commissions, like an artwork that's already created because you didn't know when you were creating it that who was going to buy it or whatever it is, and it's already done. But if it's not and you have a commission, get done with it that day. Just do it. Get done with it, because then that's free money. That day, those 48 hours and 72 hours are gonna go by so quick. And you're already gonna have the job done. But you don't have to tell them that the job is done. Then you can rest on your laurels a little bit, and you can feel good about the money. But you're not going to feel good about the project. And the longer that you hold on to it psychologically, the longer that you hold on not doing it, the more that you're going to resent the project, and you're going to feel like you're the one who got scammed out of the deal. You're going to feel like you got the bad end on the deal because you waited so long to do it. But also, this is the problem with commissions. I'm about to drop some real game onto you right now. Why? Since we're talking about commissions today, check this out. Hear me out. You want to get done with commissions as soon as possible because we have other projects that we need to take care of. How can we focus on doing our auctions? How can we focus on our eBay? How can we focus on our Etsy? How can we focus on the projects that we need to do to have the daily income coming in if we're focused on that commission that we have to do? It doesn't feel good to show up to the studio and be like, I got to do 30 canvases for my auctions, but damn, I still got this commission that I got to focus on. Because we all know at the end of the day, when we're done doing our 20 to 30 canvases or our 20 to 30 paintings for eBay, we're psychologically more than likely checked out, and we don't want to do the commission. We don't have space for it. And we lie to ourselves and we go, well, tomorrow. But the problem also too is when you're working on those 20 to 30 auction pieces, you're not going to feel good about it. So there's been times, right? And I'm saying this for myself. There's been times where I had a commission painting and I messed my money up. I messed the bag up twice because I wasn't working on the commission. So it also didn't make me feel good about myself about creating the auction pieces that I was doing. So I wasn't even really committing to the auction pieces that well because I had this homework assignment that I had to do. And it's just a whole messy thing. The best thing that you could do is get rid of the project first. And then that way you can get back to the bag. You can get back to being consistent. We need to be consistent every single day when it comes to eBay, when it comes to the auctions. In order to be consistent, we have to make sure that we get done with that commission. Knock it out that day or the next morning at latest, Knock it out so that way we can get back to our routine. The routine is the bag. Because then eventually the commission's gonna be done. But when the commission's done, sometimes the commission ain't even worth it because you messed up the bag on your eBay store, which got you the commission. You only got the commission because you were being consistent with the eBay, but it'll throw your consistency off on the eBay if you don't work on the commission first. Because it's like a hand in hand. Let me know if that makes sense. Trust me. Let's see here. Yeah, sounds much better. I stressed for 2 months. Change to my other channel. I'm Breakthrough 887. Oh well. All right, cool. All right, now I understand. Happy to see you, Maria. So yeah, that's a crazy part right there. That is such a crazy part, and it's so deep that maybe most people won't understand what I just said until you actually get there. Hey, what's going on, Jim? Had to drop off some sales. That's what it's all about. I was just talking about commissions and the psychology about getting it done, because if not, it weighs onto your mind and you feel like you got this pending homework assignment. But also the craziest part about commissions, why it's important to knock it out, is because it affects the other part of the business of eBay, where this is our money, this is our daily bag, and our consistency. It could throw your consistency off of what you're supposed to be doing if you're not taking care of that commission. Just get the commission out of your head, because we might think it's something that simple where it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, your energy is there. Your energy is stressed because you're worried about the commission and it disrupts everything else. And the thing about us is we lie to ourselves and we go, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not in my mind, but it is in your mind. Our mind is like a supercomputer, but our mind is only good at focusing on one thing at a time. I always say, especially when it comes to eBay and business, you can't serve two masters. So get that tab where you have all these tabs on the computer in your brain. Knock them out, knock that tab off, because that's a big part of your tab is that commission. Knock that out so that way you can also focus back onto your eBay and you'll feel better about it. I call it clearing the books every single day. Every single day I have a checklist of different things that I need to go over, I need to do. And then I'm proud of myself and I go, well, I cleared the books at least. I don't care about anything else as long as I cleared the books. My shipping's done, my paintings are listed, I did my thumbnails, I did my emails, I did my other business. I have a checklist of things that I do, because even though I have a good memory, I have to go through a checklist. And then when I the checklist is done for the day, I cleared the books. But if you don't and you have these things pending, like especially the commission, it's going to throw the whole other checklist off. And you might think, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it whatever. No, it'll throw everything off in your mind. It's such a pain. It's a pain in the ass. Love the money, hate the process. Yeah, with the commissions, because commissions start feeling like that. That's why it's like I don't even take commissions. I rather not take it. I rather not take the energy than to feel like that. But if I am in the situations, I'm given the psychological hints here and gems of how to go about it so you can make the money. If you want to make the money quick, get done with it. Because if not, the process of it is such a pain and it doesn't feel good. I don't like feeling like I have to show up and do this project kind of thing. Instead of, I like being spontaneous and doing paintings that I want to do. I don't want to do paintings that you want me to do. And then I start resenting. Then it's like the longer I take, I start resenting the collector. And the collector didn't do anything wrong besides want my business. Why should I resent them? That's crazy. Now I'm just being a crazy person. And then that's when the blessings really start affecting you too, because then you're not even grateful for the moment. And blessings come to you in your life for you just being grateful. You have to be grateful for everything. You have to be grateful for the life that you have today instead of waiting on a calendar day for something to happen, because that calendar day will never happen instead of you being grateful for what you have now. Then that's when all the blessings happen. It's a whole conundrum. And these are things that I've had to learn because it's like I've been through these things so many times. Let's see here. Checklists are the bombs, ask pilots. Yeah, I talk about that all the time with the pilots and surgeons. They have checklists. Even though they've done hundreds of thousands of hours, they still have checklists because the mind will play tricks on you and you'll forget things, especially in high stress situations. Brenda says, as creators, we need to keep our pipeline clear to keep creating. Exactly. Maria says, you go, Jen. Checklists are the bomb. Maria says, I definitely need a checklist. Yeah, just take the time out. Checklists definitely help. Discerning Light says the mind can be tricky. The mind will play tricks on you for sure. Brenda just laughed. Maria says, I'm going to pull out my paintbrush and see if I can get something done today. Yeah, get something done. Let's go. All right, let me dry this off a little bit and we're almost done. So, for example, it's good that we're talking about this. Hear me out. You have to have a checklist. Have a checklist, write it down, and before you start checking them off, put them onto your printer so you can make multiple copies of them. So every single day you could go through the checklist and check them off. It's better that you write it out and you check it off with your hand because there's something about the muscle memory and about remembering it, but also getting it done compared to if you're doing it digital on your phone. Don't do it that way. Write things down on what you need to be. Now, the point that I'm talking about, the checklist, is the same practice if we're talking about the commissions. The reason why it's so important is because with the checklist, you'll be psychologically more advanced and you'll feel better about the progression of everything that you do. So all of your whole checklist will be affected because in your mind, you feel like Home Alone's mother, right? Oh, is there something I'm missing? Is there something I'm missing? Oh, Kevin, because she didn't have a checklist. Her checklist was mental instead of writing it down. And she didn't feel good about herself, right? Because there's this energy of, am I missing something? Am I missing something? But pilots and surgeons, they actually write down what the checklist is. So that way, psychologically, you can feel good about the whole process. Because even though you might be an expert and you've done it so many different times, you'll feel like you're missing something and it'll eat away at your spirit and your energy. So it's important to have a checklist so you can feel good about the whole process. And that way you can bring the success to you and the money will start flowing. These are mindset things that we talk about inside the elite community, where it's about bringing energy to you and having a flow. If not, all of these things will eat at you and you don't even realize where the energy, where the vampire energy is sucking it up from you. I had that all the time if I didn't have a checklist. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's that feeling of being like, dang, I know. Like, you ever say to somebody where it's like you had too many cups of coffee, that feeling where you're like, I can't explain it, but something feels wrong. I feel like I've done something wrong. I feel guilty about something. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel anxious that I'm doing something because you don't have a checklist. Especially us as adults, we have so much going on. We need to clear our tabs out, our computer tabs in our mind, and we need to have the checklist so that way when we look at it, we could be like, all right, then you can feel good about your day. Because then you might even get done with your day earlier if you have the checklist. You could get done with your day earlier as long as you knock your checklist out. As long as you have a roadmap and you know where you're going, then you could be able to knock it off and you can go to where you're going. But if you don't have a roadmap, then you don't know where you're going. And you'll always be thinking that you need to go to a different destination or you need to go somewhere else. I use a checklist, not just for it's the checklist for me is not so much more about knowing what to do and what's next and what's next. It's a psychological advantage for me to become successful and for me to have the frequency clear inside of me. I need to have my frequency half glass full. In order for me to feel half glass full, I feel good upon myself knowing that I was productive and when we did work. We did what we were supposed to do. Us as humans, as being creators, as we naturally are, we also are meant to work. we're creators, but we're meant to be productive. We're meant to work. That's why they say that the idle hands is the devil's workshop, right? Or that also what is it like gluttony or not gluttony, but um what am I thinking? Or what is it? Sloth? Is it? Or it's like being lazy or but yeah, you know what I mean. You have to be productive because if not, then you're not going to feel good as a human. Us humans are just wired like that. We're wired where we have to be productive, and then the good things come. But we have to have the checklist on the things that we're doing, and then we feel good. And then I'm telling you, all the energy. No one can say anything because it's like the feeling where it's like, for example, if you're like you have to go to a gym, and when you go to the gym, you get it done and over with, and you've done that part. You feel good about yourself because you're productive. You did something. You did what you're supposed to do. As long as you know you do what you're supposed to do, I guess in short of all I'm saying is that is that as long as you know you're doing what you're supposed to do and you have a checklist and you accomplish all the things that you're supposed to do off of your chores, off of your whatever, you feel productive. And sloth, that's what I'm thinking. Yes. And you know that you accomplish what you're supposed to do. God gave us a blessing for being able to work. We have two arms, we have two legs, we have a brain. There's people out there in the world who no matter how hard they work in some of the countries, right? In like South Africa or certain parts of maybe I don't know, maybe some parts of Africa or some parts of China where they feel like no matter how hard they work, they can never accomplish the things that they want. And we have the opportunity where only thing that we have to do is work. And we have that blessing. God has given us that blessing where we could just work. And as long as we have a checklist of us working and we do that, we're going to get the blessings. The blessings are going to come. That's why I always say that work. I don't know anything about being talented. I don't know anything about being an artist. I don't know anything about that stuff. Only thing I do know what to do is to show up and work. And God is going to bless you off of that because we were meant to work. And the checklist just reminds me of the work that I've accomplished. And I might be able to, like, if I don't have a checklist, I might be in the studio all day pretending and lying to myself that I'm working when really I'm not working. I'm just in my mind saying that I am. And I've had moments like that and it sucks. It sucks so much. If I didn't have a checklist or didn't have a system in place, I lie to myself or my brain lies to myself and goes, oh, you were getting work done because you were in the studio all day. You were in the studio all day doing nothing or not having a checklist. Let's see here what we got in the comments. I love doing minimalist art because you could get away with it. Art is art. It's fine. Art is art. I love doing minimalist art. It's very strong. It's very confident. Here, let me pull this up. Let me write this. Let me write my signature on here because we're done with this painting. Let's see what else we says here. Jim says, "Yep, I just put on my smock and popped the top of the wet palette. Had time to paint." Let's see here. Discerning Light says, "I started to practice about a month ago. Whenever I get stressed about something, I grab a piece of paper and color pencil pens and I start writing. Thank you. I'm grateful." It shifts a lot. Exactly. The thank you and grateful, that's why it's written that way in the Bible. The real secret the real secret. Here, look at this. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Right? Pop art, neo-expressionism, social political, Daffy Duck cartoon, shells, gas station in the back, some percentages there, price point, whatever. All right. People love this type of stuff. What do you think? The stuff that they teach in secret societies about the real way how to go about prayer and manifestation is being grateful, being thankful for what you have. That's a secret. It's as simple as that. And I mean, we hear it all the time. It's like, give thanks, give grace, things like that. We hear it all the time, but we hear it, but we don't listen to it. We don't think about how significant it is. A lot of times we're so conditioned, sometimes people get into the mindset of doing prayers or things like that. And, you know, you ask and you want and in that type of mindset, because then it puts you in a mindset that you don't have then. And then the more that you focus your attention on the things that you don't have, you're going to keep getting those things of which you don't have, compared to if you focus your attention on the things that you do have, the more that you are going to receive. All right, let's see what the next painting is. Oh, it's another 16 by 20. Let's see what else we have here. Thank you for the gold mine of knowledge, sir. Such great insights. Thank you for being here. So freaking true. I did a day planner for my paintings and promotions, etc. That's awesome, Maria. Jackie Sunshine says, I am absolutely useless without a checklist. I feel you, right? The certain light says apathy. It's a reward system. So true. Maria says, I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling too. Let's see here. Produce Man says, every time I backslide in my art business, it's always because I don't hold myself accountable to time. I'm the same way. That's why it's always on the time system. Let's see here. Discerning Light says, or Jackie Sunshine says, what a beautiful idea. I love this. I might have to borrow your brilliance. All right, let's get this going. I'm gonna do another 16 by 20. I think I have a package open over here. Good, I do. I was thinking about this yesterday. When I was younger, what I used to do to inspire me, as crazy as this sounds, but maybe not, right? What I used to like watching is like where they would have those jail shows or prison shows. I know it sounds crazy, but I would just be like, I'm so thankful to God that I get to wake up in the morning, go to work, and I get to have freedom. Like I can't even imagine being like in a jail or a prison or something like that. And sometimes it's just like you have to watch extreme situations or see certain things and just be so grateful. So that would always put me in the mindset of being grateful, is watching some extremes like that, because I was like, that just looks like hell. That's hell on earth in my mind, and it just puts me in such a quick mindset to be like, man, I'm so thankful to be able to have the chance to work. I had the chance to, have my own studio. I have a chance to be where I could travel and I could, eat the things that I want. I can be with my family. I can share light and positivity with the community. I could be like just different things like that you could find in your life, of where you could just remind yourself. And then that always kicks things back into gear. All right, let's do this painting. Let's see here. This is going to be a cool one. Boom. All right, this one right here is like this is like one of my early paintings. This is going to be like an upside down Charlie Brown, where he slipped, he's upside down, water splash, but it's a Marlboro kind of thing design. I don't know. Let me just zoom this in a little bit more. Yep, that works for me. Boom. That works. There we go. Very simple. I'm going to keep the white background white. I don't have to do anything with this. Keep this part red. This is going to be it should be a quick painting. Be grateful for even the small things. Yeah, if you write these things down, what you're grateful for, I'm telling you, that's how the blessings happen. You have to write it down. If you write it down, that's why they call it spelling. That's where the spell is going to come from. Yeah, it makes me think of when she pulled the football away from him as well. And I think that's where I got the reference from, to be honest with you. Boom. So also, this is a thing too. When you're dealing with commissions, it's up to you. It's up to you if you want to deal with the weirdos or not, because you're going to have weirdos. Like I told you, you're gonna have weirdos who just really they're sometimes people are fans, and it's up to you. Like you're gonna know, like sometimes you have weirdos. I'm just keeping it real. And if they're being weird, it's just better not to deal with the painting at all. They just want attention. Sometimes like you'll know it too when they just want to keep going on with conversation. I don't have time to keep conversating with somebody. Like I'm busy. I don't have time to be like they'll want to keep asking questions, or then they want to like they want to bring they want to pivot it into it like a conversation. Like they want to pivot into where, well, actually I was like they want to start talking about their personal life, and they want to start, then that's when it gets like I do a very short, quick business. That's it. I don't got time to be talking to some fan where they just want to they want they want to get your attention, and they're just happy to be like, no, 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 no. Don't have time for it. But you'll know that too. Like I said, the more that you do it, you'll know. And then when you have the good ones, they become repeat buyers. Repeat buyers are great. Because as long as you do good business, they come back. But the cool thing is too is they can't wait to tell other people about your art. And they're like your biggest cheerleader. But this is the thing too. I want you to keep this in your mind when it comes to repeats. Whatever price point that you gave them, always keep in your mind is you can't go higher than that on the next project. So whatever you start at is usually the highest price point. And if they keep doing repeat business with you, it's either the same price point, and that's fine because they're used to that. Or if it's repeat business and they're buying in bulk, you could do a little bit lower than that. But where you start at is the highest base point when it comes to commissions of where you're going to start at. You can't ever have someone who's a repeat buyer and you offer, something that's $2,000, $3,000, and then they come back to you and you're like, well, this time around, I'm a bigger artist now. Actually, it's going to be $5,000. They're not going to feel that. They're going to be like, this person thinks that they're like, I was supporting you. I was there when you were starting off, but now you're too big for me now. Now you're going to try to, don't do that. Don't do that to somebody who's coming back to show you love. Don't change your price point up because you think that you're too big for them now when they supported you when you weren't. Always the red flags is if they ask too many questions, it's not going to work. Once they start asking too many questions, I bust their heads with the price point because I know that either they're going to say no to it anyways and I don't want to do it, or I say to them, I always say anyways that as long as you understand that I have creative freedom to do intuitively what I want to do. And if they're cool with that, cool. Then I don't really have a problem with it as long as they're cool with that. Because really that means that they do actually like you, where they just want to they want to buy a piece of you. And that's fine. I like those people where they want to buy a piece of you. Instead of, you have some people who actually just want to buy something for the aesthetics. And that's not cool. Because if you just want to buy something for the aesthetics, then you might as well just create it yourself. Or, I want you to buy it because Corbellic painted it. And whatever, that's why I always stress with you too. Don't be too tight with your artwork and do the detail. Okay, so here's a funny part. Remember we were just talking about where it's like the video of the guy who has the tight artwork where he was bragging that it took him 100 hours to do one painting because he did a polar bear and it was like each hair. Now imagine he finishes that project and it was 100 hours, right? And then someone comes to him and they go, "Wow, I love that painting. I want you to do another one." You think he feels good about that? You think he feels good about that? Like, I know as an artist, I don't feel good that I got to do another painting that's the same type of thing. And then think in your mind, damn, that was already hard enough for me to do that one painting for 100 hours, that polar bear. I got to do another one like that. Because then you're not being creative. You're doing these pieces that are more like, you're doing these art pieces that are more like academics at that point, and it's like that's uncomfortable. I don't feel good, and they're not even allowed to tell the buyer either, even though they're excited. They're supposed to be excited about the opportunity to get that commission, but they're not allowed to tell them like, "Oh, I don't really want to do another 100 hours of painting each hair by hair by hair. I don't want to do that. That's not even fun." You're showing up to work like, how is that being creative where you're painting hair by hair by hair? You might as well be a tattoo artist or something. I mean, I'm not saying that, they don't do art as well. Of course they do art. They're creative. I'm just saying. Or you might as well be a esthetician, where you're doing like the threading of the needle of the hair or something like that. Like, could you imagine? Like, I got to show up to work today. Yeah, what are you doing? Are you doing anything creative where you're letting the paint fly or anything? No, I'm I'm taking the whole canvas and I'm drawing a line each by each. Let's see here. Sally Mae says, OT, looking at the easel online, it occurred to me that you could shave a grid off of those annoying extensions that hold the canvas. Don't know what that means. Exactly. And he's so attached to it, he might want to keep it. Maybe y'all are having inside conversations. Compared to how I talk about doing art, where it's like where you're doing something that's creative and something that you're finding your happy mistakes and you don't know what's going to happen because you're being creative. That's more fun where somebody is like, "Hey, I don't know what you're going to create, but I just love how your brain works and just create me one of your paintings." That's cool. Now that's a good, the polar bear painting I was talking about. Yeah, exactly. Discerning light. Yeah. Like that's what I love. I love buyers like that where they're like, "You know what? I love how your brain works when you're creating art. Just create me one of your paintings." Like, I love how your process is compared to somebody's like, "Hey, I want to hire you so you could paint hairs on a painting for 100 hours." Oh, that's horrible. Don't hire me to do that. But then I can't be mad because I'm creating art where I put myself in that box, where I'm making it has to be super detailed and I'm drawing hair. Like, I gotta wear, like, imagine showing up to the studio so you can wear like these magnifying glasses and then you're up at the canvas sitting down the whole day. I'm being creative, everybody. I'm a good artist. I'm letting my emotions out by drawing the hairs, everybody. I went to art school. I paid $100,000 so I could do this hair. It's really great. Can't do it. You pay $100,000 to go to art school so you could draw hair, like one hair at a time, and be like, could you imagine that? But like said, I'm not judging. I promise I'm not. If you search online right now, like any YouTube video mostly, or anybody online, and you ask them how to go about commissions, they say things like kind of the opposite. They go stuff like, Well, you gotta judge it by the size and the circumference and the hours spent. Yeah, they say you gotta multiply the hours spent. See, that's why we I always talk about we don't base things off of the time. But everybody else is like, you gotta judge how many hours that you spent doing it, and then with the time and the circumference and the stress and the materials. Who's got time to be doing all that? Now you're asking me to do academics and engineering specs and all that. I'm an artist. I'm just going to base it off of however I feel or whatever what really is what off of the canvas size. And then that's pretty much, and then also depending on how many characters is it? Like if you want me to paint if you want me to have a painting on there and it's the Last Supper and you want me to have all these different characters on there, of course that's going to be different depending on how many characters. So the price point for me, I always have a different price point as well as how many characters it is. Like if you say it's just one portrait of somebody, but it's in the style that I want it to be, then I'll price it, easier if it's just one portrait. But then you're like, oh, I want it to be me and my husband. Then I'm gonna charge you for you and your husband. But usually, how I go about those two, so I can make a little bit more money, I say that I could do a two painting situation, and you can either put them painting side by side, or you can have them somewhat side by side in the same room, and it'll be like a portrait of you, and then the other canvas will be a portrait of him. People usually like that idea. But if they're really so like they want to hold on to where they want to have something expression of where it's both of them on one canvas, then they're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to pay for both characters. It's not going to be the same price. So that's the thing too that always throws it off too. It's not going to be the same size or the same price just based off of the character. But I'm also not going to go off of, well, it's got to be divided by the time of whatever. Like they don't, even if they know or they don't know, it doesn't matter about this the timing. The timing, that's some art school crap right there. Sorry about the beeping in the background. Today's Tuesday, just like last week. It's the neighbor's trash day. So excuse that noise. Apologies. Let's see here. Jackie says, Corbellic, I'm still chuckling about how you coined the Mona Lisa syndrome. I'm 100% guilty. Yeah, we all are. That's why I coined it that. I understand. Sally Mae says, the part of the easel where they put the eBay tape, you could grind it down so it's flat. Um, yeah, yeah, but I don't want to. It's fine. You're right, though. That's a good point. You could do that. You could. That's true. You could. But I'm a lazy artist. I don't want to do all that. It's just easier for me to put it up there. That's fine. I'm not too much of a handyman person anyways, where it's like I got grinding sand tools and all that. I knew you'd say that. Laugh out loud. Exactly. Yeah, you know me. I was just about to say that. Come on, Sally. You know me by now, where it's like I'm a lazy artist. I'm not doing all that. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? I'm not doing all that. All right. So now let me just write splash on here. Splash. So I hope that helped get an idea today about how to go about commissions. Let's see here. I've had a commission request when I tell them the price, they never respond. I had one guy I told what was his budget that I could work with them, haven't been able to close the deal. Yeah, I don't ask them what their budget is because it's kind of one of those things where that's going to throw them off, where they're going to be like, well, because then it's like the first person to name a price lose. So I never don't ask them at you that you're going to scare them away if you ask them what's your budget. They never want to tell you their budget because then if they tell you their budget, then you're going to be like, okay, I'll take that. Like it might be higher, it might be lower. Like they don't know. They already lose at the negotiation table if they tell you what their budget is. The only thing that you can do in those situations is just be stern and you tell them what your price point is, have it be a little bit higher, what we were saying, and then if you don't hear anything back, what I always do is I follow back with them either in a couple days or so, and then I say, "Hey, let me know if you have any questions on that quote." Or I even put a little bit of urgency on it too, where I'll even do a situation where it was like, "Hey, I can send the contract over right now. I have availability right now before the season books starts booking up. Let me know if you have any questions." There, I can know like there, put a little bit of urgency on it, and just follow back on them. See how that goes for you. All right, let's do this Marlboro symbol. Let me dry this off a little bit at the top so we don't make it look ready. And then after this painting, I'm going to do one more painting, and then that's going to be it for our live stream. I have some shipping that I have to do. So I think after this, I'm going to film myself do some shipping. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. The quicker the better on these. Instead of Marlboro, we're gonna put Marl Brown, like Charlie Brown. I think that's cool. Like this. And then if you haven't already, leave me a like in the video. Let YouTube know that we're doing God's work around here. That we're spreading positivity. That we're dropping information that you found it useful. Like that's the thing too. Like so someone if someone would ask you what's the quote of it or whatever, you never want to be like, well, hold on, let me get my calculator out and I got to figure out the time that I'm going to do times their circumference times the character times the like they're like, huh? They're like, I want a painting done. I didn't ask you to build me a deck. What are you talking about? Well, hold on. My art coach told me that I must hold on. I'm doing the formula. Let me get my formula paper out so I can figure out what the art is going to be. Like you baking a cake or you doing art? I'm gonna give you a cheat code. If you're ever worried about doing like a certain character that might be that you feel is like copyrighted or whatever, you could always write in here a C for copyright, and then you're protected. So if you're ever worried about like a certain character that you might want to play around with and that you want to do or something like that, just write C in there for copyright and then you're protected. That's a cheat code. I never write C in there because I'm worried about it or anything like that. I just write it in there because it looks good. But if you're ever worried about it, because I understand that some people are, then that's fine. Just write in there the C and you're protected for copyright. No one could complain or say anything to you. I understand. Don't be like that crazy guy, Corbellic. He's a bad influence. Be smarter than him. Be protected. It's okay. Me, though, I wish somebody would try to sue me about some art or complain. I wish you would. But you, though, you're smarter than that Corbellic guy. Don't be like him. All right. Yeah, Disney too. I mean, I do Disney stuff all the time. I don't even write copyright on that. Like Disney don't care. I do Disney characters all the time. But I'm just saying, if you're worried about it, you can just put a small C on the bottom of it, and that's fine. It's not a big deal. They ain't gonna trip off of that. All right, I'm gonna do one more painting after this, and then call it quits because I gotta get me some lunch or something. Starting to get around that time. Starting to get famished. I'm gonna write tax on him just for no reason at all. There, I think that looks good. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding me about the New Yorker. Yeah, I'm gonna send that to you. I'm gonna send that to you. I got it here in the studio. And it was given to me as a gift too. Like it was a really special edition. Let's see. Discerning Light said that certain Disney characters are now considered public domain now because how old they are. Yeah, especially like Mickey. He's public domain. All right, here we go. Right here, there's our Marl Brown, like Charlie Brown, but Marl Brown. Let me think. Let me know what you think about that. Isn't that cool? That's really cool right there. People love it. It's something different. People love Charlie Brown and all that whole thing, but you're just having your own take on it, your own spin. All right, let's see what the next painting is going to be. Awesome. We're going to close it off with an impressionism. These paintings do well. Impressionism landscape UFO. All right, cool. So cool. I know, isn't that cool? That was really cool. Thank you, Jackie. All right, let's see here. Let me tighten this in. Boom. Jim says, I did it. Kept up with you. Finished a Buffalo while you did the last one. That's awesome to hear, man. See, you're getting tighter and tighter. That's all that matters. Because once you start understanding your audience as well, too, Jim, you're going to realize that all that other tightness, it doesn't matter. Like you're going to understand that you could become more loose with it. And it doesn't, you're going to understand all that other stuff that you thought mattered, it didn't matter. That's the thing. Like once you start doing it more. You're gonna be like certain shortcuts that you could just get away with it. Maybe one time you were doing certain pin marks this way, maybe other times you were doing certain other pin marks that way, and then you're gonna realize that those other pin marks, it might not even matter. Let me just do it, and they didn't even notice it. They didn't even notice that there was a slight change of hand this way because I was doing it faster of this, and it doesn't even matter. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of yellow right here. Always change the color on the horizons, right? You have to. The sky. All right. Now let's go in with our landscape a little bit, just a little bit. And then I'm going to do the highlights, the dark areas. And I'm going to do a dark red so that way it can have our background layer. But I always like to work the skies first and then build up. Watch, you're going to see what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, like recently I've been doing this same exact painting, and every time I do this painting, it's been selling for $50. So it's like, why wouldn't I do this type of painting for a quick $50 if it's only going to take me 10, 12 minutes to do it? I mean, come on. We make more than doctors around here when you stay at it. Just do this background like that. If you're not already part of the elite community where we have the coaching in there and we have everything mapped out for you so you can do this yourself, no guessing games. You have all the templates that's built out for you. Click the link, it's in the description, but it's also in the comments pinned to the top. And that way you can learn how you can do this yourself. Supportive community that's in there. Or if you have any questions. All right, now let's add a little bit of blue. I love doing these landscapes. It's no right or wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue. I just know I'm showing up, adding these layers onto it. In my mind, I pretend that I know what I'm doing, and I think that's good enough. God's like, I'll work with that. I'll work with that. As long as you're showing up and pretending that you know what you're doing, I'll work with that. Boom. Look at that. I love it. Now, when it comes to shipping commissions as well, I offer free shipping, of course, because it's all bundled into whatever price that I'm giving them. And depending on the project, I'll always ship it via UPS or FedEx. These days I like UPS better. Some days I like FedEx. Just depends. But they're both fine. You can use both of them. Just make sure that you also have insurance that's covered on there. And you could have that be like the only selling point you talk about when you talk about pricing to the customer. And you say, oh, these are all These are all insured in your shipping as well. When they hear that, they think that it means like there's a warranty or something type thing. So it gives off that same quality notion of being like, oh, okay, it's protected. Because the reason that people do business with us on eBay is the middleman when it comes to if something's wrong with the order. It's kind of like they have a warranty when they deal with eBay. There's a middleman in there that's going to make sure that their artwork is protected. If they don't like the business, they can always go back and complain to eBay. That's why they like it. That's the real reason. So it's like if you happen to do business outside of eBay, you can just tell them, hey, your artwork is insured for however it's shipped, or if there's an accident or something happens. Let's see here. Zinjin says, one painting done, 3 on prep. I need the dryer, pink paint off my face. Headed back to work. Thanks. I'm feeling more and more like a full-time artist. You are a full-time artist. You're getting to it. So proud of you. Let's see here. Tori says, I joined, I did, and I already had 3 sales. I'm loving it. Awesome group and supporters. That's amazing to hear. That's what we're here for. Jinja says, I feel like a whole lot of money coming my way. It's 2026, the year of the money. Love those landscapes. I love them too. Thank you, Blessed. I love them too. Such a great feeling. Like there is no right or wrong when it comes to these landscapes. I could keep doing them because they're so easy, but for some reason it's like they pump out the money. It's like I could do this painting, right? And it'll bring me the same amount of money more times than with if I'm working on a larger painting or a 16 by 20. So it's like, why not just I have a better lottery chance. We always talk about the lottery ticket. So I can knock out more. I could knock out more of these lottery tickets. Not saying that I don't love dealing with the I don't love not saying that I don't love dealing with the 16 by 20s, but if I'm dealing with a 16 by 20, it's only so many of those lottery tickets I could do in a short amount of time. But these I could knock them out, and there's no right or wrong. And it's the landscape. People love them. And it has so many different colors and life to it. All right, now let's put our spaceship in the sky, and then we could call it quits. We had a really good stream, I think. A lot of good information on there about how to go about commissions, mindset of success, as always. Not to sell yourself short. You're the leader of your business. Checklist. That was the best part. You got to have the checklist. Psychologically eats away at you. And you know us, we're so silly as humans, right? Like we know certain things that we need to be doing that's good for us, and then we just don't do it for some reason. We know that we have to eat healthy. We know that we have to do a checklist. We know that we should meditate. We know that we should be grateful and write down what we're grateful for. And then what do we always say to ourselves? Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Like we do silly stuff like that. And there's so many different reasons of why. It's like we self-sabotage ourselves by just not doing simple stuff. And it's like it's so simple. So at times, even if I say that, right? Like if I would say to people, hey, tomorrow or before you're done working or whatever, just spend 10 minutes to write a checklist for yourself or write down your whys. I always talk about that too. I had a whole video talking about write down your whys so that way you can look at your whys and they can be bigger than you and you can have a reason to keep going. and you have a reason to keep being successful. Write down your whys. Us humans are so silly that even though I make these videos and I say these important things, I understand how silly humans are, that most people won't take to the advice. I mean, it feels good to probably say on here that you are taking my advice and you're doing it, but we all know that as soon as you log off of here, you're going to go back to, I'll do it later. I won't do it. Or I'll get around to it. You don't ever get around to it. Us humans do stuff like that. And I'm guilty of it as well. And it's like we know that these are the things that could help us, but it's like if I say, "Hey, write down a journal." Write down a journal of write down a journal, for example, of like every day that you have a work day, write down what did you learn from it? What would you improve the next day to make it better? Those are the things that I look for as well within myself. Even though I've done so many paintings and I've worked so much and I always every single day I say to myself, okay, what was wrong with today's live stream, or what was wrong with today's structure that you would do different to make things better if you could? I think about things like that and just write it down. But if I say it, humans, most people won't do it. And it'd be the most simple things. And then one day when it's up to you and it clicks and then you actually do the things, then that's when you come back and be like, wow, it makes sense now, Corbellic. I remember you were saying this all along, but I didn't really listen to it. I was hearing you, but I wasn't listening. Give yourself permission to get these things out of your mind. That's usually the best advice that I have for people when I see that they're all over the place or something. I say, well, give yourself permission to get it out your mind first. Like, the problem is that you have all these different things you're thinking of in your mind that you must take care of and accomplish, and you don't have it written down. Like, give yourself permission to just take it out of your mind and put it on paper. Then once you put it on paper and you can see what you actually have to do or what you have to accomplish, a lot of times the things that we put in our mind is a lot more daunting and it's heavier and it's bigger than the actual assignment itself of what you have to do. But when you put it on paper, you're like, oh, I was able to finish those in 5 minutes. But when I keep it in my mind, it makes it seem like it all projects are always bigger in your mind of what you have to do than compared to when you just write it out. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm if you could relate to that, if I'm making sense. If you're like, dang, I do that too. I definitely feel like that. Projects are bigger in my mind than if I just write it out. And then I look at the chore list. That's why I like the checklist. And I'm like, dang, actually, you mean to tell me the only thing I had to do was do that? Why did I act like such a baby about it? And I didn't want to do it. How come I just couldn't do the chore list and do those reps and those sets like Corbellic told me to do? Why am I being so difficult about it? We all do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you, Corbellic. You're right. You're right. And then and then we all go back and we want to do our own thing because we think that we can outsmart the system. Nothing beats the system. you can't serve two masters. So many times in my life, I spent too much time trying to outsmart what works, outsmart the system instead of doing what works and what I was supposed to be doing. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I just think that I can outsmart it instead of just doing the simple. All right, that works for me. That's a beautiful last painting. These work. Let me throw a fence in here because why not? This is going to be like a vine, a vineyard, right? Something like that. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. Jade Hunter says, my problem is once I do a chore list, it ends up being a bloody novel. There's just too much, and I always want and need to get done. Well, the thing how to go about those is this. This is what I was taught years ago, is that you have to prioritize from that novel what are the most important five. So write down the five, or really just write down the 10. What are the most important 10? And then focus on the most important five out of those. Then whatever you don't finish out of those five, focus on them for the next day. That's how you accomplish them. You could write your novel down, but out of those, just prioritize and go, okay, what are the most important 10 that moves everything that I want to get done? Then focus on those, really focus on them. Then whatever you don't accomplish out of that 10, break it down into the five for the next day. That's how you go about it. But it's better that you at least write it down, even if it is a novel or whatever. It's better that you at least write it down and you got it out your head. Because then, if it becomes a novel, imagine all of that information and all of that subconscious stuff that's built up in your head that you need to accomplish, anyways. And it's just in your head. It's worse that it's in your head compared to if you just write it down. If you write it down, at least you can see it and you could have a place to go to. But imagine if you have it all in your head. Because if you have it all in your head, what we us humans do is we make things bigger in our head. It's kind of like the mirror, the rear view mirror, right? Or the side mirrors where it was like the objects always seem closer or bigger, right? It's the same thing in your mind, but it's even more than that. It's like four times the problem. That's why it's like imagine fear, and it's just an imagination in your head, and it's always bigger in your head. Everything is always bigger in your head. It's more exaggerated. Our brain plays tricks like that. All right, let's see what this. Look at this. What you think about that? That quick, landscape impressionism UFO painting right there, huh? Like we did that together. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Look, we did that together. I'm gonna put the parchment paper down on it. Boom. Look at that. We did that together. Let's see what was said here. Jade Hunter says that's a much better idea. Thanks for the advice. That's what we're here for. Look, we're around here saving lives. Look, I do not only just art coaching, I do also life coaching, mindset. I do all of that type of stuff. Okay. So it's just not about art that we're talking about or the business side of that, which I honed in on when it comes to eBay, but it's just really about the mindset of how to organize yourself and how to really focus on being successful. If you want to learn more about how you can do this for yourself, what we just did today, how you can work faster, how you can let your ego go and just create art. We work off of the projector. We're using the proportions off of that. We're already creators. The creativity is already inside of you. The art is already here of what we create. You can do this. Like, you see how easy it is for me to do this. I'm talking at the same time, giving life lessons. We're joking around. But look, if you focus in, you could be knocking out 10, 15, just like the rest of the members that's here right now. And you can have everything set up for you. So click the link below. in the description or click the link that's also in the chat box so you can join us, start making sales as early as next week. I appreciate everybody that's here. If you haven't already, please leave a like on this video so that way you show the algorithm on eBay that, hey, we got a good thing going on and that, we're here, we're showing up. Hope everybody, let's see here, appreciate it. Let's see here. If you can, before you leave, you can leave me a super chat, buy me a coffee. I would really appreciate that as well to let me know that everything is good. Let's see here. Carrie says, how do they dry on the floor? No, I put a parchment paper on top. So we break that down as well inside the elite community, show you how you can do that, how these dry out. We always put a parchment paper on top. Thanks, Corbellic. Leave your likes, folks. Jackie says, thanks, Corbellic, for the gems. Let's see here. Lee was like, I was like that getting to my SKUs this morning. It's been on my checklist. I just needed to take action. Now that I've broken the ice, it is not daunting to tackle catalog 400 paintings. Exactly. 400 paintings though, in your mind though, it sounds like 4,000 paintings. It sounds like 4 million paintings. So when you feel like that in your mind, what do we all do as humans? We don't do nothing at all, right? We don't do nothing at all because we're like, I don't even want to do it. Like, just like the thought of me being like, I got to do 20 push-ups. And my mind is like, I got to do 200 push-ups. So what do? We stay fat and then we don't do it at all. And that's not good at all because then we're not moving forward. Thank you, Lee. Sally says, Corbellic, so much more. Thank you. I appreciate the streams. Jada Hunter, I joined the elite yesterday, but I haven't introduced myself yet. That is in my top 5 to do. Yeah, introduce yourself to the community and then start on the 14-day sales activity 1 day at a time. It goes by like that, but by the time that it's over with and you're done with your 14 days, you already have your account set up and you should be having your first sales at that point. So I'm going to leave on this. I appreciate you guys. We had a fun stream. I think that we did some cool art. We always do cool art. All right. You could do this yourself too. Look, you're a phenomenal person. I believe in you. I'm going to see you tomorrow at 8:30 Pacific time, avocado time, at the same time. And you guys have a great day out there. Be productive. Show up to work. Show up to work, but also don't overwork yourself the whole day. Make sure that you have a beginning and an end. As long as you have a beginning and an end, then you're going to be able to squeeze in as much time as possible. But if you feel like you got all day to accomplish a task, then you're going to use that time allotted to complete a task, and you're not going to really get the numbers done that you should be doing. But we talk more about that, and we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. That's a good topic. All right. I'm going to see you guys later. I appreciate you. Love you guys.